Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Did you watch the big Joe Rogan live special on Netflix? What did you think? It was incredibly ordinary. I have woken up on Sunday morning and I'm just not excited about it. I didn't dislike it. You can find my notes in the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. I found the first 10 minutes borderline hacky, to be honest. There were a couple times I saw the twists and the punchlines coming, and that's not a good thing. Most of the material, somebody posted on one of the social media groups. I've been bouncing between Threads and Twitter lately, and somebody wrote, it was like Joe took the last 5 years of his podcast and distilled it down into an hour. Just nothing surprising, nothing amazing. I didn't feel like he had anything to say. The storytelling was fine. Again, not a miserable hour, but it was okay. And I'm wondering if it hurt the Netflix brand. And I'm looking at this through a Netflix perspective. Maybe they knew that they didn't have something good. I talked about during the week how there was no buzz on this. It wasn't really being promoted. And maybe Netflix knew that it wasn't that good. And it wasn't that good. Also of note, somebody pointed out on social media, the captions were ahead of Joe. So maybe they pre-captioned it from one of the rehearsal shows, or he was on some sort of delay, or there's some aspect to technology I don't understand where the captions are ahead of the video. But the captions were definitely ahead of the video, whatever that was about for a live special. Cracked wrote, imagine if someone gave you a Joe Rogan bingo card in advance of the live special. The card has all the usual topics you'd find in a month's worth of Joe Rogan Experience podcasts: alien probes, Fear Factor, COVID vaccines, trans people, gay people, UFC, Fox News, Alex Jones, China, Elon Musk, the N slur, the F slur, the R slur, and whether or not Joe Rogan is canceled. Congratulations. Your card just won the game horizontally, vertically, and diagonally. Over the course of his special tonight, and I think it was about an hour 3, hour 4, Rogan played every one of these greatest hits. The person from Cracked writes, as I watched Burn the Boats, I was already predicting headlines like Variety's Joe Rogan slams COVID vaccines, trans people. And yep, Rogan provided plenty of individual lines to cherry pick, supporting any argument anyone wants to make against him. But the special was way more toothless than you might think. When Rogan dished out punchlines that were met with awkward silence, he had a ready-made retort. They're just jokes, folks. No one's getting hurt. The problem wasn't lame material. It was people who were too serious, but for the most part, that wasn't the problem. The San Antonio crowd was at a whoop-it-up mood, roaring no matter which side of the fence Rogan straddled in any given moment. The Daily Beast wrote, Joe Rogan is keeping Austin weird, and not in a good way. Like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, Rogan needed his viewers to know that he's not weird. It's the new reality that's weird, arguing you can't just put lipstick on. Now you can poop in the women's room. When his fans cheered him on, he grabbed a drink of water and chuckled. All of a sudden, it's a hate rally. So will I add it to my best of 24 list? I have added it in the currently last position, 17th best. It's watchable. If it hadn't been live, I probably would have bailed around the 42-minute mark. I kind of had enough of it. It's a little too long. Again, it's not awful, but it's not really interesting at all. So I have it at 17th, behind Rachel Feinstein at 16, Taylor Tomlinson at 15, and Tig Notaro at 14. We'll see, though, as the year goes on. I may pull that off the list. I'm really wishy-washy on this. I'm wondering, too, if it did some damage to the Netflix, hey, live special brand, right? These have been all exciting so far, and this one was kind of eh. And the damage it does there is if they announce Comedian X live on Netflix, you're now more tempted to be like, all right, those are okay. Very curious to me that they didn't promote it, and I think now we know why. In other news, Molly Kearney is not returning to Saturday Night Live for season 50. On Instagram, Molly wrote, that's a wrap on my time on SNL, reflecting on the amazing 2 seasons I got on the show. It was such a dream come true. So incredibly grateful for this period of my life. So much love to my big-hearted buddies behind the scenes who make the magic happen every week. So many bald caps, so little time. Not really a big loss from a viewer standpoint. Late Nighter points out, with the exception of the Please Don't Destroy guys, Kearney had the least amount of screen time in season 49, with less than 25 minutes overall. Punky Johnson, who's also leaving the show, had the next least amount of screen time at 37 minutes and 13 seconds. So next up on the list of who wasn't really on the show much, Michael Longfellow, 39 minutes, 17 seconds. Season 50 premieres September 28th on NBC. I checked in with Dan Bublitz Jr., and I'm like, hey, did anybody throw an axe at you during your set? Nobody did, which is a good thing. So congratulations to Dan and the folks at Laugh Out Loveland. Conan O'Brien had on, what's her name? You should prep the story. Why don't you redo this, John? No, I'm just having a brain fart and I'm leaving it in. Nikki Glazer is who was on. I could have easily redone that, but that's not fun. So there's Conan and his guest. Who is it? That's right, Nikki Glazer. They started talking about Conan being on Hot Ones. She was curious how Conan prepared for Hot Ones. His solution, be a total a-hole. Conan said, my first thought was, I don't want to just taste the wings and talk about the wings. I have to go on and be a total a-hole. Glazer said, you're not someone who drinks a lot and you don't lose control. You're always in control, even if you're seemingly out of control. And I felt like it was the first time I'd ever seen you maybe on the brink of losing control because you were in so much pain, but you were fighting it and you still had it. And it was one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen. Conan says, it sounds crazy, but if I think something's funny and it's going well, the performance energy or whatever, that just takes over. He told a quick anecdote. A car filled with big jockey guys backed over my foot about 10 years ago, and I think broke it. I was having a good time, and rather than ruin the evening, I just decided, screw it, my foot isn't broken. So I went out and had a lot of fun with these people, and then I woke up in the morning, and my wife saw my foot, and it didn't look like a foot anymore, and she said, we got to go to the hospital. Colin Jost has a new TV gig. He is the host of Amazon Prime Video's upcoming Pop Culture Jeopardy! Pop Culture Jeopardy, in case you don't know what it is from the title, is a brand new twist on the classic quiz show's answer and question format that combines the academic rigor of Jeopardy with the excitement and unpredictability of pop culture. I'll take Who Cares for 200. The answer, Pop Culture Jeopardy. Ding. What is something Johnny Mac's not going to bother watching? Contestants playing in teams of 3 will need to be experts in categories from alternative rock to the Avengers, Broadway to MMA, and copywriting rule of 3, Gen Z to Zendaya, as they compete in a tournament-style event for the grand prize and ultimate bragging rights. That's right, ultimate bragging rights. You know who I am? I won Pop Culture Jeopardy, hosted by Colin Jost on Amazon Prime Video. That's who I am. Imagine having that bragging rights. Wow. Lauren Anderson is a suit over at Amazon and said, we're thrilled to welcome the multi-talented Colin Jost as the host of Pop Culture Jeopardy. The New York Post did a lengthy interview with Nate Bergatze. How lengthy was it? So lengthy, I saved some of it for an upcoming vacation day that's not for months from now. I've got a little folder and I'm like, here's some leftover Nate stuff. So months from now, when you're like, hey, this sounds kind of generic. I wonder if this is the vacation day Johnny Mac was talking about back in August. You'll be right. Nate says, right now, I don't have a new hour. So these final shows on my Be Funny tour, I'm adding a few new things. The fun part is when you get done taping and you're like, oh my God, what else is there to talk about? But then you find stuff and you get laughs on the new jokes. I have one about DoorDash that I came up with right after the special. Nate told the Post, after SNL, I'd go to every town and say I met the Foo Fighters. They were the musical guest on his episode. And then I'd say, Dave Grohl's from here. Truth be told, I don't know where Dave Grohl's from. You know that famous George Washington sketch, which is an all-timer? Nate said it almost didn't make it to air. When we did a table read, I wasn't into it. My timing is based off crowd, so George Washington didn't look like it was going to be a good sketch. And then Lauren let me do it during the dress rehearsal. It was the last sketch. He knew I liked it. It was like, let's see what it's going to be. And it destroyed. Streeter Seidel and Mikey Day wrote the George Washington sketch. I did it just as they wrote it. It was written in my voice so well that people think I was involved with the process. That's the first time I did anything where it was with words that I hadn't written, which was new. That's just how good they are to be able to do that, especially someone like me who only does words that I write. Yeah, a million years ago, when Jim Breuer was doing Afternoon Drive at Sirius Raw Dog Comedy, I would write promos in Jim's voice, and I had it down pretty well. I don't mean a half-ass impression. I mean writing words that would sound like words Jim Breuer would say. Nate says, there was one sketch I liked that I wish could have gotten on, but didn't even make it to dress rehearsal. It was about this assistant coach that keeps bringing up that he needs the team to pitch in $50 for uniforms. Like, hey, I didn't get all the money from everybody. Nate says, if I'm fortunate to get asked back, maybe we'll try that one. He talked about the sing-along Lake Beach. That was James Austin Johnson. He's originally a stand-up comedian from Nashville. Funny, Nate said all that. Wait for the next story. Wait for it. We're not there yet. Funny enough, our dads know each other from college. I'm older than him, but saw him when he first started in Nashville. So that was a song that I think he was doing on the road. They asked me, do you sing? And I was like, absolutely not. Then when they did the sketch at the table read, I saw them do the song. I was like, oh, I can do that. I don't have to be Adele. Speaking of James Austin Johnson and Nashville, James Austin Johnson spoke to the Nashville scene. I didn't even do this on purpose. James said, I bought a truck and I'm doing the first round of recycling that I promised everyone I would do as soon as I got a truck, because not having a truck was the excuse for not hauling anything, which was a good excuse to not haul anything. He loves Nashville. When I was coming up, it just didn't feel like there was a path in comedy. This was pre-podcasting, and many of the lanes in stand-up felt just kind of frozen in time. I knew I wasn't going to be Killer Bees, that's a famous Southern comedian, and I knew I wasn't going to be a guitar comic or something like that, so I looked around, and I just felt like I was a bit impatient with what my path could be. His parents started driving him to classes and auditions. That path was 2 decades long. On that path, he met local comedy crew Corporate Juggernaut, who brought in then up-and-coming comics like Pete Holmes and Kyle Kinane. James says, so God bless my parents. They always supported me, even though they might not have seen what I saw. They might not have had the vision I had, but my sweet dad, he drove me out to L.A. for my final semester of college, and I'll always be fully indebted to them for the support that they could give. Tom Papa told WTOP, my act is kind of this special place where I spend a lot of time making sure that you're going to laugh every 10 seconds for an hour and a half. It's evergreen. You want stuff that'll laugh. People can go and tell this joke to their friends for the next 5 or 10 years. Something that happens in the news, that's for Colbert or Kimmel and those places. Those are daily shows, and that's where that stuff belongs. What about the Ballot podcast? Ballot, wherever you get your shows. Tom says, I talk a lot about family. I talk a lot about mental health. I talk a lot about the pets that are ruining my life. I find his comedy extremely relatable. Really enjoy it. I talk about how my family is always changing and evolving, how my parents came and had an insurrection in my house for 2 weeks. Matt Friend will be the celebrity host for this year's KC Superstar Finals. When are they, John? Sunday, August 25th. What is it? What will he be doing? Well, as host of the event, Matt Friend will be charged with interviewing all 10 KC Superstar finalists throughout the evening. Hundreds of teen singers from across the region have participated in KC Superstar since its inception, and several competitors have continued to perform professionally. KC Superstar provides over $22,000, a random number, in scholarships to the top 10 finalists who come from across the metro area. Some publicists must have put out this sentence, which got written, Friend has become a popular comedic figure on social media, stages, and red carpets worldwide, earning praise from notable names such as Howard Stern, Jeff Goldblum, Paul Giamatti, Austin Butler, Dr. Fauci, Liev Schreiber, Sebastian Maniscalco, and John Oliver for his spot-on impressions. I doubt that the local paper came up with that on their own, but I could be wrong, because here's another sentence. Friend's passion for comedy and entertainment has propelled him to great heights, amassing over 1 million followers on TikTok, Instagram, and other social platforms, and they got his handles in there. Friend is known for his impressive repertoire of over 250 impressions, from Jeff Goldblum to Timothy Chalamet to Stanley Tucci. Tammy is a producer at KC Superstar and says, we are so thrilled to have Matt Friend as our celebrity host for our finals. You can read between the lines in that last story. I didn't say anything. Read the transcript back. I did not say a thing. According to late nighter Punky Johnson will not be returning to Saturday Night Live. Apparently, Punky announced this at a live comedy show at Union Hall in Brooklyn. Someone at the show posted, Punky is leaving SNL. She said this was fine to share online, so I guess Twitter's the first to know. Definitely wasn't a joke either, like she's actually gone, and she's very happy about it. Other people at the event then corroborated the story. Not sticking around for season 50 is a curious move. We'll see whose choice it was. And that is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They might like it too. Don't tell Matt Friend about it. He's not going to like it. See you tomorrow.